Hi, I'm David Domke. I'm chair of the Department of Communication at the University of Washington. Every once in a while I get a chance to sit down with an alum from our program, somebody who's done remarkable things in our lives or mentored a lot of people or had an impact in a variety of ways. And this year we have an opportunity to induct 3 members into our Alumni Hall of Fame. I had a chance here to sit down and talk with one of those inductees, Dolores Eyler. So this is what we call Chats with the Chair. Thanks, Dolores.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here and be back on the campus.
Yeah, so what struck you when you come onto this campus? Is there a certain kind of feeling or set of memories or something from your time here? Now, you graduated in 1971,
yes,
right?
Yes. And yeah, of course there are, and it was special because I brought my husband here who hadn't actually toured the campus. And I'm very proud of the campus. It's so beautiful architecturally, but when I was here, they started building a lot of new buildings and with different architecture, and that bothered me. But I see that it's just fit in wonderfully, and it's a great campus.
When I walk around campus, there are some buildings that appear to have been built in the 1970s that are a little less inspiring than others. So I can understand how you've been like, no, don't.
A little harsh. Yeah. And also, I'd walk around, I'd say, that used to be grass. Right here, it was all grass, particularly next to the library.
Sure.
When they've bricked that whole plaza over.
Why did you come to UW? What was it that drew you here?
Well, it's interesting. I'm an Army brat, and my father was raised in Ballard. So as we moved around, his heart was always in Washington, and he would talk it up, and particularly the University of Washington. He started going to the football games here when he was 4 years old, and his auntie graduated from here, my great aunt, which was a rarity back then. She graduated in the early century, part of the century, well, the last century. And as we moved, we would always talk about Washington, and when I got ready to go to school, I was in Germany. I went to an American high school in Germany, and I had no idea where to go because, back then you did not do college tour trips. You didn't. And so I applied just at a wide variety of places like William and Mary and Pepperdine, and of course the U. My sister was already at the U. And my father said, if you don't care, if you really don't know, please go to U because I have in-state tuition. And I was glad I did. And I roomed with my sister.
Now, did you come in with an idea that you wanted to be in journalism, or was that something that you developed or emerged when you were here?
That's interesting. When I was a kid, much younger, in junior high, I went to a really outstanding school in California called Standard School, and it had a wonderful, wonderful newspaper. And I became a member of the Quill and Scroll. I was the youngest member in the country, I was told, and I was named editor of that paper. Loved it. I loved the camaraderie, the staying late to put out the paper. I mean, our teacher really treated us like a real newspaper staff. Yeah. But then we moved, so I didn't get to be editor. And I actually worked on yearbooks and wrote for papers a little bit, but no, I came here deciding I wanted to be in advertising because it was a little flashier, a little more exciting, I thought. But right away, I realized I wanted to be a journalist.
Now, I know a little bit about kind of your professional trajectory, and you've worked for a lot of different newspapers. What is it that kind of compelled you and excited you about being in journalism in the different jobs that you've had?
Getting to ask any question you want, and people are willing to answer, and getting to know different people every day, not sitting at a job, not sitting at a desk. I mean, you get to go in, you got an assignment, and you could take off and go meet new people. It was just the diverse life and the exciting. I'm very curious.
Yeah, so what would you say to a student who's a current student that if they were, and you may have nephews or nieces or something like that that are current students, would you say you really need to make sure before you graduate from your University of Washington or whatever college you're in, that you have some of these kinds of experiences? What would those be?
Well, internships. If you can get the actual job, like I was lucky enough to do, like people did years back, yes, but get any type of internship and work for free if you have to, but just go and say for all the little community newspapers. I'm talking about broadcast journalism.
Okay.
It's the same also if you're in, I'm talking about print, excuse me, but it's the same if you're in broadcast. Just go to the jobs that are around you and say you'll do anything just to get in the door.
Yeah. One of my first reporting job was just, hey, I'll go cover this game that nobody else wants to cover. And they said, well, you're not going to write anything. You're just going to give us the score. I said, that's okay. You know, right?
Yeah, I'm there. And also you get to wear that press pass.
Yes.
You know, nothing like having the press license plate on your dashboard. You can park and go in.
You can bluff your way into a lot.
That's right. That's right.
So, you know, thinking about the kind of ways that journalism connects you to different people, you've also been very involved in community organizations, right?
I have.
So could you talk a little bit about that and what kind of is the heart piece, the piece that draws you there?
Yeah, I think it really is because I've moved so much, because of my background as a child, being an Army brat, and then my first husband, who went to the University of Washington, was in retail, and we moved a tremendous amount. And a good thing to do when you move, besides getting another job, is to get into volunteer activities because you meet like-minded people, and it also is a chance to give. I mean, it just it feels so good, and I think volunteering, getting on boards, you use many of the same skills. You find, you know, you get to talk to a lot of different people. You're inquisitive. You have to let your board be known to the wider community, or else it doesn't succeed. And there's a lot of crossover. Yeah.
You have provided, as part of that giving spirit, an incredible body of support to the Department of Communication, the Dolores Eyler emergency fund that we have. And this is available to undergraduates or graduate students who meet some kind of unexpected crisis or thing in their life. And then we can provide a modest but important body of funds to support them. I know that when we first talked about this, that this was your idea. This was your idea. So where'd this idea come from, and why is that important to you?
I'll tell you, I was on one of the boards I've been on is called Posse. And Posse is a national board that originated in New York by this delightful woman who was getting her PhD in education at Harvard. And she got a job where these inner city kids that were very smart and very qualified were going off to college, and they were coming back and they'd drop out. And she was astounded. Why are you back? What happened? And they said, I didn't have my posse. That was a term that was used more a few years ago. So she started this wonderful group, and by the way, it's in 2 graduate programs here at University of Washington, that inner city students are trained, are selected for leadership, not for grades, not for SAT scores, for leadership, are trained before they go in a posse of 10 kids to all these schools. The schools pay for their education, but Posse pays for their training. And they meet regularly at the school, and then they're given a lot of support afterwards. So that's an advertisement for Posse, but what happened, as on the Posse board, I went to Vanderbilt to visit my youngest son, who was a student there, and I wanted to see the Posse students. That was the first Posse school in the United States. Vanderbilt took the jump. And I met them all in the dean's office. And they were delightful, and we had a talk, how are you doing, what are you studying, and everything. And I asked them all for coffee. And they all refused me. And I was very surprised. And I said, no, I'm paying. And then they all agreed to go. And it just struck me that these kids who are given a wonderful scholarship, but they don't have any other money because they're overwhelmed, most of them don't have time to work, did not have money for a cup of coffee. And then it made me think back to my time here at University of Washington, and my first dorm experience was at Lander Hall. And we had a lot of kids from Tri-Cities. I made really good friends with 2 girls that were roommates from Tri-Cities. And the second semester, they were gone. And I contacted them, and where are you? You had good, they said, we just couldn't afford to stay. We're working, and we'll be back next semester. And I think so many of us that are so fortunate forget that a lot of people really are living paycheck to paycheck and don't have any money for extras.
Yeah, we have, many of our students work. And even those who work and have the kind of money they get from that, to take a bus to some place or to buy a book or something like that can be a really significant thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that kind of support, I have the privilege to approve those And so there have been just dozens and dozens of students over time. So thank you so much for that.
It is really my pleasure, and I have so appreciated you letting me know what some of the reasons are and hearing from some of the students, because it just is heartwarming.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I wanted to ask you kind of to wrap this up here, to if you've settled now in New York,
Yes.
right? And so when you think about kind of Seattle or Washington, and I know you come back for at least some football games and you have family in the area, what is kind of the spirit of this place to you? Like, what does it seem like this place represents?
Washington or the University of Washington, or
either
both?
one, yeah.
Washington represents outdoors to me, and being very cognizant of caring for Mother Earth, of the environment. And I was laughingly saying earlier I needed my master's to figure out all the different bins to put my remains of my breakfast in, because Washington, the U is so great about compost this but you see that all the time, the fact that the campus is so wide open except for buses, everybody's walking, there's bike. Van, my husband, actually asked if the school provided bicycles because everybody's riding a bike, you know, and it's really nice to see that. And Washington I love because my family's here. You know, even though I've moved so much, I was born here, I went to school here, and my heart is really here. So when people say, where are you from? I didn't live here for very long, but my family's here, and I always say Washington.
Yeah. That's good. So it feels a little bit like home.
It does, very much so, even though New York certainly does too.
Sure, sure. Well, you know, congratulations. It's our honor to have you coming into our Alumni Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you asked me. I really feel honored myself.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm David Domke. I'm chair of the Department of Communication at the University of Washington. It's my privilege to be that chair. And I had a chance here to talk with Dolores Eyler, one of our 2017 inductees into our Alumni Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, Dolores.
You are certainly welcome.
Thank you for watching Chats with the Chair.